configurations. Blank was the superstar, entered game 3 against KT and got them over the line. And now Huni is going to have to do his best Blank impression with him at his side.
I feel like Khan may not necessarily have such an easy time against Huni, though. The unpredictability, that mechanical prowess, he's not necessarily known for his roleplay skill like Untara has been able to offer to SKT. However, in this 1v1 in lane, I feel like it is a different story when it comes to Khan.
It will fundamentally shift the draft because you don't leave Huni on an island. You try to give him resources. He famously had the highest CS post 15 minute of any player at MSI. He largely dominates the farm because they give him split pushing options. And we know that he's no stranger to going very deep into the champion pool to find advantage. He's got a win on Cassiopeia this season, a win on the Lucian top, his former meme pick that did actually win in this season. So he certainly has firepower, but a lot adjusts around him when you have a Hoover sucking up resources in the top side. It cannot be the role play you'd think from Huni.
And now Tristana needs to be banned away, and we've got identical bans from game number 1 coming out here, with Longzhu on the blue side once again, and SKT once again on red. And there is no reason for Cuz not to go straight back to the Zac, but can Blank get out his Zac destruction skill and take him down this time? Last time it was, of course, Pino.
So let's talk about the order of things that happened. SKT chose to bring in Huni. Then they were informed that Longzhu chose side. Game 1, Game 3, Game 5, they choose sides. They chose blue side like they did in Game 1. Remember, that means that SKT kind of got a twofer because they can counterpick Khan with Huni as a carry player on the red side. Traditionally, red side has been favored recently, but on 7-15, you could understand blue with a couple more must bans. They do have the counter pick for Huni if they want it, and that does change the draft. He could also draft Cho'Gath as the final pick on the red side, a pick that he brought back into the meta, and for him specifically, a huge comfort pick.
Yeah, once again, this is the change up though. Last time it was the Ashe denial from Prey. This time, they're gonna go with Alistar denial as well as Alistar being picked up for Wolf, who has been playing fantastically well. Oh, some majestic, dazzling bottom lane prowess being hovered here. See what Gorilla does decide to bring down towards the bottom side, or whether Longzhu are going to mix it up completely, try and grab one of their solo lanes a bit earlier.
It's a very early Taric, which lets SKT know team fight is what Longzhu want to do. If you see Taric and Zac, you know what the comp is about. They'll just return to the Varus for the safe wave clear to not necessarily go for 3 team fighting only picks, but there's a lot of information granted to the side of Longzhu. Won't be the Lovers bot lane. They may be considering Bang jumping onto the Xayah. Kalista and Tristana being banned out every game has really changed the feel of this pick and ban. We had Ashe vs Varus, a first week of summer bot lane matchup.
Few weeks, Papa. You know, there were a lot of times where it seemed to be you could only use bows and arrows on the bottom side of the map. Nothing else was really available, but yeah, you're right. It feels like we are taking a dip back, and it seems to be suiting Longzhu because they were so good come the second half of the split.
Do you ban Jax Trundle again? It's kind of the interesting choice here. On the red side, the Cho'Gath ban I like from the side of Longzhu Gaming. That's the blind pick champion for Huni that he's looked most comfortable on.
Do you ban Shen if you're Longzhu Gaming as well and force SKT to play something different on the top side?
I mean, Huni can certainly play Shen, but I don't think you do that. He's such a different player. He's going to be playing for advantage. He's not going Balmy Cinder Shen. He's going Tiamat and trying to fight. Yeah. So it's so different here. So the last bans are interesting. Trundle would be just the safest, but they're going to go for the Jace ban instead, taking away the 2 picks that Khan has won with so far. So far, let's add it up. They banned away Jax and Jace, and also brought in someone to fight Khan. Khan has been the biggest success possible in this grand final, in the maximum level of respect. Speaking of respect, somebody's going to have to blind pick their solo laner. Lucian is the safest blind pickable solo laner. They'll ban that away, but this could just be Faker picking Corki and leaving the counter pick for Huni.
I think that Corki makes a lot of sense, but his LeBlanc did also look good despite the loss. It's a dangerous pickup. We saw Pawn lose on it. We saw him win on it as well. We also saw him pick up a loss.
Will be selected here, Atlas, because it's true team fight when you see the LeBlanc. You're playing the matchup again. But all rests on what Huni selects as the last pick. Longzhu will be desperately craving 5v5s with this comp, but SKT's comp can only be judged based on the top laner they select. So waiting to see what is decided by Khan, but most importantly for Huni, could just be Jarvan for the side of Khan, his most played and also great ball carrier for Orianna.
Yeah, that's standard engage composition, but they've left the Trundle available for the first time. Could it be that they're just assuming that they'll go for that? They've got a strategy in place, and Longzhu might also be expecting that one with the Camille now hovered.
If it was Untara, I think you take Jarvan. Against Huni, you're worried about taking a carry matchup against being taken into you, so he will blind pick the Camille, and now it's up to Huni to decide what to take in lane. We've seen Gragas work against it, being able to knock them out of the X-Tech ultimatum. We've seen Singed famously in the past, but no Singed even after rework. The Gnar can lose this lane. Snowball from the jungle can actually take down the Gnar, but Gnar has pressure on Camille early, and also you're not expecting Zac to be camping a lane. So I think this has to be the 1-2 punch from SKT. They need to control Cuz on the Zac in the jungle to the same level they did score in Game 5 of the Telecom War semi-final, and also get Huni ahead. I feel like if you fail any of those 2 points, it could be Khan running away with the series, not just the first 2 games.
Yeah, and this is the game where SKT generally have the download done. This is where Koma has done all of his research. Now that he's got his ducks in a row, they understand they've got flank now to deal with Cuz on this Zac. They've got Huni, another carry threat to try and split up against Khan, even out that matchup. You mentioned that if it goes a little bit awry, it can be a problem for the Gnar, but we know Huni is a different beast to Untara. Is this going to be the right jigsaw puzzle to win out over this Longzhu team that is on such a tear? 4 games in a row now against SKT.
That definitely remains to be seen as the coaches respectfully handshake. SK Telecom, have they managed to do it? Because I don't think it's the pick ban. I think it has to be an adjustment in play from them to vindicate the drop. This game is all about this matchup. Khan versus Huni. It will the crux of the game will be on where the pendulum swings in topside, and largely how the junglers interact around that. That will decide the game. If Khan is able to get ahead, they have Varus and Orianna for safe wave clear as Khan continues to add up his advantages. It all hinges on this Atlas. This might be an early night, but not the early night that everyone predicted.
Yep, and as the climax continues moving into game number 3, we'll see whether Longzhu is going to close out at match point, or whether SKT is going to start yet another reverse sweep. Let's get onto Summoner's Rift for potentially the final time. Can't even pick it. I don't know who has more fans in this audience. Longzhu, there was a gigantic queue towards all of their merch this morning when we were heading into the venue. People just haven't needed to purchase anything to represent Longzhu because they haven't made it this far in the past, needing to try and catch up on all of this lost merch.
I mean, Longzhu are never an org that needed to make merch, Atlas, because they had their small, loyal band of fans, but never grew from there. Longzhu, again, they've never achieved anything really. They picked up a single IM win in Sao Paulo years and years ago, back under the LG IM moniker. But from there, they were the consistent bottom 2 team. As we see Huni walking up to harass Khan, this is going to be a big story. He actually gets stunned up, but Blank's here.
Yeah, going to get the body slam in. They will get a flash very early from Khan. And they take down the ward. Already things looking better for SKT.
And Khan can't back because he has to enter lane, so Khan's aggressiveness turned onto him by Huni and Blank will also be the late invade onto blue that they engineered against the same matchup again in Game 5. Great video, again, I mentioned it earlier. Irene outlines it really well. The team-wide strategy to shut down Zac, and it's emulated here by different members of SKT.
Well, Cuz is going to make his way over. Actually, Blank, we'll see whether he stays in the jungle. They're pinging out Cuz, who's just going to walk straight on top of him. This is very dangerous. I mean, red buff against blue buff does mean that Cuz theoretically has a battle advantage. But Bang is going to get stunned by the Dazzle on the bot side. Prey, fantastic trade. Just sub 300 health for Bang.
Bit of a health equalization, you would say, after the trade and top side. Will mean the only potion for the Xayah is going to be chomped on. Didn't see who picked up the experience. We saw Gragas with just over 2, so I believe the camp is just reset. So actually hasn't been picked up, and Blank, he's just being a human ward. It's battle ward, but by Blank.
Just not sure what Cuz is doing, whether he should actually be going for this wolf camp or whether he should just be heading over and trying to take down these chickens instead. There's the body slam. Cuz, of course, has the passive, so he'll be fine. But this is just such a waste of his time.
Waste of both of their times. BDD does not want to come in and skirmish level 2 on Orianna.
Nope.
Once more with feeling, guys. We're doing it again.
Well, at least now with the wave pushed up, it means that Blank wants to deal with BDD instead. But there's the body slam. And Cuz has really been keen on making this one work, but got a lot of regen.
So why? Okay. Why are we seeing the return after return? Why is Blank giving up his farm is the question you will ask. Early game, LeBlanc beats Orianna, and Gnar is having a field day with the Camille ranged versus melee. So when you have 2 winning lanes, being a battle ward like Peanut was on the Rocks Tigers is exactly what you want to do as the Gragas. Both of them have cheap builds where they will build into Cinder Hulk or largely into full tank. Bot side is the only part where there's a pressure advantage, and here's some trading.
Yeah, Gorilla actually getting these autos in, charging himself back up. Bang finally able to get a decent trade in damage, at least onto the turret. So we've got a big ol' Gnar heading towards this top side.
Khan just wants to stay competitive, was laning without Flash, of course, and in a tough matchup, so for him to be basically equal in CS is better than expected from Khan.
Yeah. Cuz actually feels pretty unperturbed, keeping himself up. This Krog camp will change things immensely just because it's Krogs and inflates everything, and it's frustrating to deal with as far as trying to evaluate where these junglers are. However, level 3 to level 2 of Blank means that feels like Cuz came out the better after the shenanigans early.
BD isolated in this matchup in game 1, was down on CS early as well, but it's to be expected. Big pressure advantage available for Faker in the 1v1 early before the wave clear is on command. Bot lane, we're seeing Gragas.
And in goes Wolf. Massive explosion of damage and first blood almost out of nowhere by Blank as he picks it up with a flash body slam.
Yeah, the timing there was fantastic. Those sort of ganks in game 1 were not working, but here works the treat. First blood for SK Telecom. A massive boon for them. This was the one lane where they were losing in terms of pressure. That's thrown out the wall. Able to get the preferential back timing as well. So good stuff there from Blank. Great gank timing from him.
Yeah. Exactly the right time as well, just given the fact that Bang wouldn't have been able to follow up with much damage afterwards. Used the last of his mana to make sure that he helped out with that kill. Probably would have liked it, but now you've got Blank able to transition this sweet purse change that he picked up across to the rest of the map as Faker's actually chasing after Cuz. He's still level 3 as the chain does land. And this is a lot of damage. He will go down to his passive. Khan's looking to try and get towards him, but there it goes. Faker wants to try and clear this one out. Hooney's going to make his way down as well. As in goes Khan. Is this going to be too much though? As Blank has turned up, Command Protect is in there. Faker in so much trouble, just dodged his way out as Cuz. He's respawned. Khan, Hooney. Oh God, no one's going to be able to catch up to him as Cuz eventually falls. There was going to be one casualty. Is there going to be another? As Khan does make his way through. Will the crush be there? Oh, Boomerang, just the tip. Did not find the backside of the Camille.
Misread on the map from Cuz. His first rookie mistake of the series, you would say. Feeling strong enough to pressure, but not when Orianna is always going to respond second to the LeBlanc. Tried to contest the brush that we know a control ward was put into for too long. Lost his life from it, also his flash as well. So it hasn't quite taken the same team impact to shut down Cuz. Different type of team impact, I guess you would say. And Faker takes him down. And this is the sort of start that SKT fans were looking for the entire series.
Yes. And it feels like a lot of these situations were very similar to what happened in game 1 and in game 2.
Cuz is still level 3.
Yes, and Faker is still just going to look for him yet again. Does get the smite off, so a bit of health back, and BDD's going to turn up, but not in time. And now he might find himself out of position. Longzhu's bottom lane we're moving up, and once again it's a Zac that is being capitalized on, is being taken advantage of by SKT.
And SK Telecom will just keep relentlessly pushing in, contesting camps off spawn. They've had so many peaks in the enemy jungle. They know when the red buff spawns. They knew it was a red buff start. They have the exact timer on the Wolf camp. They will continue to contest camps and shoot to make Cuz completely irrelevant in this game.
They're also having the best shot at doing it to BDD as well, as the Grand Ultimatum does go down. Hextech Ultimatum, sorry.
Just to try to interrupt damage rather than any sort of turn coming through from the Camille. And slightly different to what we were thinking. We were saying they're going to try and shut down the top lane, but shutting down the jungler has that dual impact of forcing your laners to play safely. Their laners are going to be second to respond. There's a pushing advantage. That's why Cuz going to try and turn. That's not the turn you want.
Certainly not. Body slam not going to land the damage onto Cuz. Doesn't find the barrel either, as BDD is going to move his way over. Cuz going to slam some people together, and the blue buff actually helping Longzhu out, and they're going to turn onto Cuz. And SKT, oh, not quite enough for the command protecting. Khan is going to go down. Now Longzhu just getting smacked about. Good shockwave onto too, as the heal does come in for BDD to keep himself alive, but the pressure advantage is just massive from SKT.
It's the sort of plan we expected to be employed against Longzhu from game 1, but it's taking them to game 3 to go for this full court press to try to target Cuz and Khan. When Khan is ahead, Cuz's job is so straightforward. He just has to path around and winning top lane. The top lane's not winning early. We're not getting to that part where Nar can potentially turn it around, and the jungle's way behind.
Well, Chain Disruption are going to come out. Prey just smacked out of the fight by Wolf, and that's going to be the disengage that they needed. Lighted Quiver not enough with that piercing arrow to get Prey any decent damage. As SKT will finally relinquish this top lane. Tower in trouble as well, actually, at this point.
Uni coming into the game, opens up a different champion, but you can hear the cheers of the SKT faithful. Losing the minimum with Untara and allowing other lanes to shine did not work for SKT, so they go carry for carry. And carry for carry is working out a lot better for them because they had the pressure. They could enact the multi-step plan to shut down the jungler, and that's done a treat on shutting down Khan at the same time.
Well, now 2 levels of the advantage on Blank. Has only just hit that level 7, so feeling a bit better as Gorilla will have his back cancelled.
Got those spawn timers, know that the wolves are up, so Cuz will once again lose out on a camp. Blank's 2 levels above Cuz, who does not have ultimate, 10 minutes into the game.
Yeah, just a disaster. We'll be getting that level 6 relatively soon, given the jungle catch-up mechanics, but still. Problematic start for Longzhu for the first time so far this series. Hasn't really equated a massive amount of gold. 4 kills to 0 could theoretically equal more pressure than the 2,000 gold lead that is currently sitting in the hands of SKT. Still, certainly a much better sign, and this feels like Game 3 SKT. All is on the line. They don't often choke when it comes to this point.
When he comes in, has a good matchup and has done his job, while the team has largely played around what Huni brings to the team. That's the part that's so much better. It's not necessarily about Untara being an inferior player. Mechanically wise, I would argue he is, but they were able to play around Untara so well against KT that I think it was the right choice to bring him in against Longzhu. But they can turn a different side of the coin when Huni's in the lineup, and that side on this day looks oh so much more comfortable, which makes it so much fun to be a peanut gallery. We know SKT's going to Worlds. They only get to bring one of these super subs though, Atlas, and a carry performance from Huni in this double reverse sweep would make it a grand old headache for SK Telecom.
They need to double reverse sweep if that was going to be the thing that he's going to prove. So Huni in the end would actually have more games in this series, despite having only half of one thus far. Assuming a very short game, I guess.
SKT continue to be relentless. Every time you get to the point where camp is about to respawn, invade with LeBlanc, early push advantage and definitely pressure advantage over Orianna. Invade with Gragas, so much easier to skirmish on the front foot. Looking for more.
Khan is actually going to be able to make his way out quite nicely with the hook shot though. This could just mean first brick going down for SKT. And that will begin to be a substantial lead as far as that gold is concerned. It will be knocking on the door of about 4,000, and at 12 minutes, that's starting to look much bigger. Cuz finds himself a Gromp, but there's nothing to attach it to. He gets the headbutt in, claims that first turret blood and will get the extra gold just for himself. So this matchup feeling a lot better. There's the move back with the headbutt. But so much turret damage coming down from Gorilla. Use the Cosmic Radiance as Cuz was making his way in, but maybe a little bit mistimed.
We're trying to bait because Cuz was around bot. Obviously wasn't expecting to be headbutted in the turret. Here's an extended trade though.
Yeah, Dazzle does come in as SKT are going to be able to lock down Prey. Teleport cancelled. Cuz has to get the heck out of there, and Gorilla. This lifeguard could not save his charges this time. This beach is looking dangerous for Longzhu, and Cuz once again. There's not enough bloblets to save you this time, buddy, and Bang is going to be able to get that kill. 6-0, feeling like a whitewash at 13 minutes into this game.
SK Telecom trying to have a statement game, trying to prey on the rookie and hope that it translates into future games. They're already going to be half talking about Game 4. I imagine Longzhu are to some extent as well. This is an insane advantage, unprecedented to be this far ahead in a grand final. And there's just nothing to show for it for Longzhu. There's no silver lining. Decent farm on their top lane. It doesn't matter when his turret is down and Huni's able to roam. The bot lane will eventually be collapsed upon by double teleport. So much easier to play the side lanes with just a single teleport when you have pressure advantage in the top side. That pressure advantage is gone, and so is the game plan for Longzhu.
Well, Huni's now going to find Cuz once again. There's the flash now, straight into the wall, and Huni grabs that kill just easily with the help of Blank. That's how you do it. That's how you shatter the spirits of a rookie player. It's taken a couple of extra games from SKT, but they are all over Cuz this time.
Now it's really hard to say how Longzhu play the rest of this one out. You can't write them off completely, but with how the game is being played, they don't have better options. Cuz needs to find farm in his jungle, but his laners will be responding second. Krug seems like the only safe camp he has to take that won't be contested, and they haven't spawned enough for that to be enough. Cannot enter the enemy jungle because lucky with a Gromp last time, but could certainly be caught trying to do that with his hand in the cookie jar multiple times in this game. The game has not mattered around the bot side. It's just been a farm fest. But the roam came down, and even that is not going to plan for Longzhu Gaming.
Now Faker is hunting for blobs. Hanging out here towards his bottom side, Cuz should be able to grab this Krug camp. Like you said, a safer option for him. Even Gorilla and Prey not able to play with as much gusto as they had the previous two games. Clutching out trades, claiming advantages, just isn't the case now with a jungler that's basically absent.
SKT know where Cuz is. They know he has to be here, so they know it's going to be a 4v3. That's why they bring in the top laner.
Yeah, and he's going to hop his way in there. There's a chance of corruption, but Faker's going to make his way down as well. There's the kidnap. Coming in there, trying to find Wolf, but he just has the unbreakable will, so he pops it and is going to be absolutely fine.
Getting the turret here is the same as picking up kills Atlas. Guess what? The only camp they couldn't ward was the Krogs. You get that bot lane turret, suddenly you have the freedom and the latitude to ward the Krogs, and there's nothing for the jungler to pick up. There's no gold for Cuz to pick up at all. Control ward on the top side was cleared out by the roam down from the side of Khan. But Drake is a dream for Longzhu Gaming. It's not going to come through here. It's a freebie for SKT.
Oh yeah, Cuz not even heading that direction. He's just going to say, oh, Blanks at the Dragon? That means I might be able to get some farm on the top side of my jungle. Absolutely fantastic. That's the silver lining they were looking for. Zach is actually able to do what he had been able to do in Game 1 all game long. Now this pressure is feeling like too much. SKT now freed up as far as their bottom lane duo is concerned. We're going to try and affect the map elsewhere, and the last remaining outer turret will be in the mid lane, which is where Bang is getting a lot of his damage in.
And with Huni, you feel like in the next game they will choose red side again to ensure they have the counter pick for the side of Khan. We mentioned they got the twofer because they changed roster as they predicted Longzhu to pick blue buff and were able to choose into carry matchups with Huni in the lineup. Now in Game 4, they have side selection. They will almost certainly pick red and try to basically put together a similar draft to this. And if you just keep focusing down Cuz, if you can do it 2 games in a row, even though Longzhu might be able to choose red in Game 5, what will the state of Cuz be by the time we get there?
Yeah, how will he be able to shake it off? But if in game number 4, Cuz comes back and manages to fight it out, hops on his most played in the Kazakhs or something like that and tears people up, like, these are things that Cuz can prove himself with, and being given that opportunity is certainly fantastic because there's not a lot of other good things to look at as far as this game is concerned if you're a Longzhu fan.
It'd also give us a good thing to think about with Longzhu and let us know about their adaptation. They haven't had to adapt for the majority of the season, playing around Khan's, pushing or winning lanes ad nauseum. They now know that Game 4 will almost certainly not have a scenario like that. They can already consider what the pick bans will be, and from there they will have to make adjustments that weren't necessary in Game 1 and Game 2.
Not going to be found by Huni's Wallop. The Rift Herald certainly will be. Prey helps take that one down. Didn't have a whole lot more to do, and he grabs it himself. Looking to channel it, try and grab this outer turret in the mid lane. Should be a thing that they're able to do, but no more Mega Gnar available from Huni as they're looking for Blank. Huni's waiting in the wings here as Blank just flashes his way out. Will be A-OK. Khan with the sweep does absolutely no damage to Huni at all. Meanwhile, the turret will fall down eventually. Oh no! Actually save it, but it's on 63 health, so that's sort of a whisper. You whisper in the turret's ear and it'd fall over.
Bang has all his summoners and ultimates, so considers just going for a cheeky last hit, but do the percentage play, no need to roll the dice. You're on course for a perfect game here if you're SK Telecom, so why play it with fire?
Yep, 18 minutes in, 7,000 gold lead. Feels pretty good to be an SKT fan, player or an SKT fan. Haven't had a lot to yell about in the audience so far for the first two games. Certainly have been a very, very vocal portion, considering the beginning cheers for game number 1 for the opening ceremony.
And if you're Longzhu, just to try to stabilize the bleeding, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's impossible with how big the lead is for SKT, but if you're just playing to your win conditions, which we have to do in a competitive game, it's all about cementing a vision line as offensively as you can put it, which is about as offensive as the ward on the blue buff, and trying to fight around it. But then you need to outnumber SKT because you know you're so far behind in gold. That's why you see Taric having to walk up to ensure a blue buff for BDD. It's 4 men invading their own jungle just to get their mid lane a blue buff. That's how far behind they are.
They got a Gromp and a blue buff though, so that's still good. They felt like they belonged to SKT for this entire game. Still gigantic lead. Huni continuing to push it forward. Faker unanswered here on the bottom side of the map. BDD going to be the one forced to head down there and try and deal with this LeBlanc. No kills, but does have the Sheen as well as the Gunblade. A lot of offensive prowess.
And there's no Jax who can get pretty tanky with his ultimate to be able to beat both the top laner and the mid laner. There's no way a almost Trinity Force Camille can take a LeBlanc in the side lane. So their options here just have Orianna, flash heal in the side lane. Wave clearing allows SKT to keep the tempo up, and Faker knows what's up. As for the blind chain, doesn't find anything, but if Kuz is getting a big jungle monster, it's through Smite and Smite alone.
Yes. Wolf now just trying to clear out vision once again. Dazzle goes wide on the side of Gorilla. Blank as well, just patrolling like he has the majority of the game. I'd like to see how many camps he's taken in his own jungle in comparison to camps that he's denied from Kuz in his.
He's got a big number, but a lot of those Krugs.
Yep.
I believe that's 3 Krugs camps at minimum, maybe 4 even, inflating his CS numbers, and it has been a team effort. SKT have been sharing the spoils of the Longzhu jungle.
That 7,000 gold gap has not changed for the last 3 minutes. Still is massive. Still, you were mentioning that stem the bleeding is what Longzhu have to do. We mentioned in Champ Select they do have a strong team fighting composition if they can get to that stage of the game. And honestly, from a lot of pressure being exerted, you know, they go down, they get pushed into their base. They've got a lot of wave clear. They've got a lot of counter engage options with Elastic Slingshot as well as the Cosmic Radiance. Gorilla will have for defensive purposes.
The problem is that SKT are perhaps the best team at closing out games in the world. You know, very often not very often do they lose in the late game. And we're watching Gnar, who has, let's say, the most items possible, a Frozen Mallet and Black Cleaver and Ninja Tabi, at the same point that Trinity Force is only just being completed for the side of Khan. So Khan can't enter lane against Gnar with any confidence or without a couple of people shadowing him. At the same time, Faker has Gunblade and also the Sheen, so has enough burst to take him down as well. So there's not really any safe places for Khan to actually get the items to enact the 4-1 that they drafted for. So the lead is probably only just going to grow for SKT, at least in the top lane matchup.
Yep, you can see now that Khan's actually forced to go with BDD towards that bottom side of the map. His backing at this point is He's looking for the cutest drive-by smite that he could find, but is at least safe. Have the opportunity.
They have been able to clear out a lot of the deep vision, so they were able to walk up there. There was no teleport ward in their enemy red side jungle. Didn't get the contest, ends up wasting the time, but at least they're not just opening themselves up to another dogpile from SKT through a teleport from Huni.
Taken towards the bottom side means that Cuz probably feels a little bit safer as far as taking his wolf camp, as Huni going to get touched by Stretch Armstrong, but otherwise nothing more going to happen.
Huni's actually doing a favor for Faker here, because now, because the wards were cleared out, Faker doesn't have vision in the red side jungle to make aggressive pushes. He needs someone to battle ward for him on the top side as he pushes down. And SKT, knowing that Longzhu have been trying to freeze, we've seen the freeze from Antara for the longest time, sorry, from Khan for the longest time. They're going to look for a collapse, but they're going to lose Baron for it.
Yeah, and I don't think this trade is going to be worth it, as there's the Hextech ultimatum. Faker might be able to find something, but in the end it is Khan that's able to grab that kill. Can Longzhu actually deny this Baron, though, is the question. Cuz could potentially make his way in, but no, it's denied by Wolf. Cosmic Radiance coming down pretty preemptively from Longzhu as they're looking for a kill onto Wolf. They want to deny as many of these Barons as possible. Already, it's only going to be a 4-man. Looking like now, it's going to be a 3-man Baron opportunity as Prey's going to grab it with a piercing arrow. So finally, some kills on the board. At least perfect game has been denied by Longzhu.
And only once the pusher will have the Baron buff, they pick up 2 kills and also out of mid lane turret. It's not enough to stem the bleeding, but it's a feel-good moment for Longzhu Gaming. Unable to get the smite over, no way for Cuz to get into the pit. Matchup experience means that he's actually only going to be the same level, finally, as Blake, so that's working, I guess, as intended, but it's working, that's for sure.
The problem is that Bang is now 40 CS ahead on this Xayah. He's 2 levels ahead.
And Huni's a monster.
And Khan has to run the hell away as quickly as possible as soon as he sees little tiny Yordle head towards him, and that just feels bad. I mean, he's so adorable. You don't want to run away from that. But this kind of adorable is going to murder you, so you certainly have to.
Has gone for the outer center rush on Tarek, very common now, not like the Rakan we saw in the previous game, as the ultimate for at least situational tankiness. But when you're ahead as Tarek, you can make much more informed decisions about when popping the Cosmic Radiance, because you can feel like, okay, I know roughly how tanky we are, roughly how much damage we do. I'll just hold on to it as needed. You have to be proactive with it, as here's Huni with the crunch.
Yep. Oh my goodness, that hyper damage is crazy. Hextech ultimatum comes down as Khan wants to try and get a trade back kill, but it's just not going to happen. He's got too much health as Cuz kidnaps a barrel by the looks of things. Doesn't actually, and heads back underneath the turret. Does mean that that top inner is completely exposed. Will be taken down by Huni, and Faker just going to continue the pressure by heading towards the bottom side. Longzhu are being stretched way too thin on every front for this entire game. 10,000 gold, very close to the lead here at close to 26 minutes in. BDD wants to try and punish him, but Huni's just one-man wrecking crew. Faker just happy to tank up turrets by the looks of things.
So much of the draft was similar from SKT, but you change one variable and you're more aggressive in the early game, and it reaps its rewards. You reap what you sow, and SKT has sown a massive 10,000 gold lead at 25 minutes into the game. Even after that feel-good moment, every future trade goes the way of SKT, because they're always going to be there first, whether it's the double teleport, or the winning lanes, or the kill pressure just in the 1v1s in many of these matchups. Longzhu always have to think 5 to 10 seconds ahead, and SKT have the information to never allow that to be a winning trade-up.
Yeah, and this is what SKT do, is that they play clean League of Legends better than most others. All others. Can I say the absolute right there, Possibility? Yes. Am I allowed to? Good, okay. So SKT just play clean League of Legends better than any other team, and therefore, they get a tiny advantage in the early game like they did. They will never relent. They will never let go. And you will just fall into this gigantic hole, which is now approaching that 10,000 gold portion. It's just too hard. It's so hard to see the way back in for Longzhu. Yes, I talk about, oh, well, they have a composition that could theoretically turtle, and yeah, in a lot of other games, that may actually make sense. But against SKT, I just don't think it does.
Why, There's really not too much to say about this action. We talk about what you would do in a hypothetical world, but this is the real world. And the real world, you just kind of take it on the chin if you're Longzhu. You rely on the experience of Prey and Gorilla to calm down the rookies, who obviously will be feeling not too great here, specifically Kaz, the true rookie of the lineup. The playoff rookies of Khan and BDD seem like they can probably hold their head up high anyway, especially with Khan's heroics in game 1 and 2 and BDD's consistent play. This game hasn't been about BDD. He's cleared waves where he can. He hasn't died at all. But around him, it's been a disaster.
Well, Faker was actually looking for it as SKT continue the pressure. They've got so much vision all over this bottom side. Top side, there's some blue wards, but otherwise it's all just SKT and Huni standing vigil just outside this inhibitor turret, which is very close to going down. Prey just desperately trying to clear waves. And here they go. They're trying to take down Huni. Hextech Ultimatum comes in once again as Gorilla looks for it. BDD with the shockwaves, but Huni just takes so much punishment. Over goes Khan, but can Faker actually save him? Huni picks up the kill in the end. He still dodges everything. The dazzle not enough, and he just wanders out casually.
Insane escape coming through from Huni. He feels so good in this moment, even if you don't see it in the reaction camera shot. And SKT in the bot side, what has trained down the turret. It was always going to be a kill for a turret. It's not even a kill, Atlas.
Nope, it is absolutely nothing, as now we're looking for the counter engage. Bloblets are out as Kuz not able to affect this fight anymore, but at least this turret hasn't gone down just yet. Teleport comes in. Huni looks like he just pushed over the turret with his ultimate, but it wasn't that. He manages to take down Kuz, and this looks to be the end as SKT just wiped the floor with Longzhu Gaming. Only BDD to look on in horror as his base is torn to shreds. Nexus turret should follow. BDD still hasn't died so far this game. He is the KDA king, but that doesn't help when you're 0-0-1 with a team flailing around you and nothing to be able to do. Nice two-man shockwave, but as you can see, just doesn't do the damage, and they're going to punish Khan, take him down, and Nexus turrets should follow, despite the fact that it is getting a little bit of help. Explosive Cask was optimistic, but this should be the Nexus, and SKT beginning what could be yet another reverse sweep, heading towards their 7th LCK victory.
Massive performance from SK Telecom T1. Completely different members from game 1. They changed their top laner and jungler in the interim, but they go largely with the same draft, but play it oh so much better. They made Kuz look like the finals rookie that he is, completely dismantled in even more emphatic fashion than they were able to dismantle score in game 5 of the semi-final. Longzhu will need to be a veteran team here. They will need to shake off what was the most one-sided of the 3 games we've shown tonight, and SKT fans around the world will start to believe, because that is the SKT they expected 2 games late. 2 games later than they may have expected, but the sort of performance typifying SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, feels like the party happened at a time that probably should have been a few hours earlier. You're exactly right, but Huni makes his way back in, and this guy was a question mark for SKT, has scorelines on meta champions that don't necessarily look like he should be capable of this level of great escape. Faker coming to his rescue, but look at this, Dot just wanders out of the way, hops over, nothing that Longzhu can do. Of course, at that stage of the game, wasn't really going to mean much anyway. However, still makes it look like the switch in from Huni looks like a fantastic decision that SKT made. Taro, of course, still a fantastic role player, but that is not what SKT needed.
No other team in the world has players of the quality of Huni and Blank sitting on the bench for game 1 of a grand final. They're able to bring in these players, they do their jobs. Huni's recent form, certainly not the best. He has lost his position in the starting lineup, but when he comes in and is set up to succeed, he's still the world-class player we know about.
Yes, and we know that he's the explosive player as well. If you want to take it to someone 1v1, Huni will always say yes, and Kuz seems to be exactly the same guy. We are going to go to another short break, but we have game number 4 coming up right afterwards, guys. Don't